evening, you're now with me, Handy Gui for TVS Nightline, and here are the headlines for tonight. 5 shop houses caught fire in Kuching's Carpenter Street, leaving black scars at the iconic location. Home Minister demands proof from NGO after accusing Malaysia of human trafficking. 19-year-old student arrested on Thursday after 4 young children and 2 adults were found dead at a home near Canada's capital city, Ottawa. A 19-year-old student was arrested on Thursday after 4 young children and 2 adults were found dead at a home near Canada's capital city, Ottawa, in a gruesome murder case that rocked a country where mass murders are rare. Among the casualties include a newborn aged 2.5 months old, as well as children aged 2, 4 and 7-year-old. According to authorities, the suspect was charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. The victims were believed to have recently migrated to Canada from Sri Lanka. The suspect was also of Sri Lankan origin and was described as an acquaintance of the family who was living in the house at the time. However, police have yet to find the links between them. At the scene on Wednesday night, police discovered the bodies of 4 children, their 35-year-old mother and a 40-year-old man, whom police determined as the family friend. Another man, identified as the father of the children, was found injured and taken to hospital in critical condition. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed his shock and horror at what he called a terrible tragedy. Ottawa's Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, in a social media post, said it was one of the most shocking incidents of violence in the city's history. However, rare mass killings in Canada are infrequent. In December 2022, a man shot 5 people in a Toronto suburb before being gunned down by police, while in September the same year, a man stabbed and killed 11 people in the western province of Saskatchewan. Home Minister Dato Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has called on the Human Rights Watch to provide evidence following its allegations that children in Malaysian detention depots face abuse, including denial of medical treatment and insufficient food. On that matter, Saifuddin has openly invited the organisation to meet with him in a bid to discuss the issue personally.
Saya juga nak jemput Human Rights Watch ni yang menyediakan report untuk berjumpa saya. Saya sendiri akan jemput mereka. Okey. Kepada mereka saya pohon untuk kalau boleh nyatakan yang berkaitan dengan penderaan dan kematian. Siapa, berapa bilangannya, berlaku di mana, bila, dan oleh kerana ianya disebut berlaku kematian, sebutkan siapa mangsa-mangsa itu.
He said, following the report, the Public Accounts Committee PAC has also summoned the Immigration Director General Dato Roslin Jusoh as well as Human Rights Watch for a discussion. On Wednesday, the international NGO reported that a total of 1,467 children were detained in 20 immigration detention centers across the country last September. The report was later declared false by Saifuddin, who questioned the credibility of the sources cited by the NGO, asserting that he is fully aware of the conditions in the country's immigration depots. 5 shophouses along EU High Street in Kuching were destroyed in a fire outbreak today. 3 buildings were completely engulfed by the flames, while 2 were partially damaged. Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department Bomba Deputy Director Tiong Ling Hee said the fire was brought under control by 2:40 p.m, an hour after the distress call was received. According to Hee, the flames spread rapidly due to the lack of building partitions on the affected structures. He said initial efforts by a team of 35 firefighters were delayed by vehicles obstructing the access to the scene.
Di bahagian atas. Dan untuk kebakaran pada hari ini, situasi dia sangat cepat merebak sebab kita sedia maklum kawasan ini adalah kawasan heritage building. Tiadanya party wall dan kebanyakan api merebak melalui siling dan juga atap merebak ke sebelahnya. So kita dapat mengawal kebakaran pada jam 2.40 petang, iaitu sejam selepas kebakaran berlaku lah, sebab tindakan awal kita agak lambat disebabkan kawasan hadapan kita jentera tak boleh masuk disebabkan banyak kenderaan parking di kiri kanan. So jentera tak dapat masuk. So dengan bantuan pihak polis, PDRM dan juga pihak majlis, kita dapat masukkan jentera kita setelah mereka minta kereta-kereta tersebut beralih lah. Okay. So kalau yang terlibat tadi termasuk sebuah kenderaan lah. Kalau kita lihat di belakang kita ada sebuah kenderaan terbakar juga. Okay.
Speaking to reporters at the scene on Friday, he said today's fire outbreak marks the third fire incident at Carpenter Street, with the last occurring in 2012. No casualties were reported in the incident. Sarawak continues to strengthen its cooperation with Brunei in developing the halal industry, particularly in the production of food products between both parties. Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Amar Orang Tengah Ali Hassan said both parties will explore the potential of the halal industry, especially in agricultural-based food production, livestock and small and medium enterprises (SMEs).
Kita juga mahu ada kerjasama dan sebab menteri daripada negara Brunei telah datang berjumpa dengan saya. Kita memikirkan bagaimana punca meningkatkan dalam semua aspek, termasuklah bidang perniagaan bersama ini.
Awang Tengah further revealed that a joint committee between Sarawak and Brunei was established to discuss various matters. The joint committee would discuss matters about social relations, SME businesses, investment in furthering business development, and cross-border development between both parties. He added that the establishment of the Sarawak Trade and Tourism Office in Brunei would also benefit both parties in strengthening cooperative relations in various economic aspects, especially tourism and the halal industry. Awang Tengah further clarified that the Sarawak Trade and Tourism Office in Brunei will begin its operations later this year. Limbang District has the potential to become another halal hub in Sarawak after Tanjung Manis. Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Amar Orang Tengah Ali Hassan said Lawas and Limbang districts have many local products in line with the government's efforts to develop these small and medium enterprises (SMEs), agriculture, livestock, trade and commerce sectors. As such, he stressed that the halal industry can be established in the northern part of the state following the potential of the Limbang and Lawas districts, which are being developed as food production centres.
Punya banyak bahan dan apatah lagi kalau ianya dipatuhi dengan halal requirement itu, pensijilan ini pun mesti daripada authority yang ada. Kadang-kadang ada juga yang dibuat-buat macam itu, tapi Malaysia dia mempunyai pengiktirafan peringkat antarabangsa pun. Jadi ini harus dipatuhi. Dan halal ini bukan sahaja menentukan pada apa yang dituntut oleh ajaran agama kita, tetapi menekankan kepada kebersihan, kepatuhan kepada kebersihan dan menjamin dari segi keselamatan itu.
He said to reporters during a press conference after the launching ceremony of the Anjong Sari Halal Zone and Food Court by SEDC in the Lawas District Food Court on Friday. Awang Tengah, who is also the second Minister of Natural Resources and Urban Development and Minister of International Trade, Industry and Investment of Sarawak, said Limbang and Lawas will be developed as major buffalo production centres, agricultural parks in several areas, and developing rice fields in the highlands and lowlands of this area. Meanwhile, He encouraged local residents to make full use of all government-provided facilities for developing local products and emphasized the importance of utilizing digital technology applications to broaden market reach, enhance marketing skills, and improve product packaging. Sarawak's Deputy Premier, Datuk Amar Dr. Sim Kui Hian, is optimistic that the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement MOA between Swinburne University of Technology Sarawak campus and Biotective Sdn Bhd will bring added value to the healthcare sector in the state. He said that the MOU aims to conduct research and development R&D activities on a digital healthcare platform called the Next Generation Disease Resource Centre.
Also in fulfill on what our Sarawak government aspiration for us as a nation building, with digital economy, energy sector, the green economy, the renewable economy, all these are our Sarawak future in nation building. And so I'm very, very happy that Swinburne going to be AI and digital empowerment program. And it's important to have a private partnership, because the private partnership, right, is how, again, like bioprotective, even though they do a lot of research and all those things in Putrajaya hospitals and all those things, right? It is actually homegrown Sarawak company, talents from jungle of Borneo.
He said this in his speech when witnessing the symbolic exchange of the MOA at Swinburne Sarawak in Kuching earlier today. Previously, both parties had developed the Biotectic Disease Resource Centre, DRC, a digital healthcare platform that facilitates care coordination between patients and their healthcare providers. Through this MOA, both parties will embark on further R&D to strengthen the cybersecurity system of the DRC platform and enhance its future offerings with artificial intelligence in predictive modelling and large language modelling. The Swinburne research team is led by Professor Patrick and comprises members Dr. Brian Law, Dr. Wong Wan Zi, Dr. Kelvin Yong, and Dr. Colin Tan. The MOA was signed by Swinburne Sarawak's Pro-Vice Chancellor and CEO in Senior Professor Lau Hieng Ho and Biotective CEO Peter Ting Yi Pung. Representing Lau for the MOA exchange ceremony was Swinburne Sarawak's Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor in Research, Professor Dr. Ida Fatimawati Adi Badiozaman.
Sarawak's contingent is aiming for 84 gold medals ahead of the 21st Para Sukma Game, scheduled to take place from September 20th to 28th. Chef de Mission for Sarawak, Datuk Muhammad Razi Sitam, expressed confidence that as the host state, Sarawak can reclaim the Para Sukma Championship title, which was previously dominated by Sabah in the last edition.
Kita mempunyai peranan yang sangat besar sebab Sarawak memang dikenal pasti, semua tahu Sarawak telah memegang takhta kejuaraan itu sebanyak 13 kali dan kali ini kita kena berusaha betul-betul lah untuk mendapatkan kembali kejuaraan tersebut.
Razi told this to reporters after chairing the briefing for the 21st Sukma Games in Kuching on Thursday. He further added that a total of 240 athletes will participate in the upcoming Para Sukma Games, with the shortlisted names to be finalized by July 31st. A total of 10 sporting events will be contested in the Para Sukma event this year, namely athletics, swimming, badminton, powerlifting, archery and chess.
The search and rescue SAR operation for the 4 individuals feared drowned near SK Lepong Baleh at Malakun Road has been suspended and will resume tomorrow. Kapit Fire and Rescue Department Bomba said today's efforts utilize a divided strategy. The first team, made up of the police, the residents' office and relatives of the victims, engaged in a downstream search employing a boat, while another team comprising of Bomba personnel, the Sarawak Civil Defence Force APM and the Sarawak Rivers Boat LSS embarked on an upstream search using 3 boats. The SAR was conducted within 5-kilometer radius from where the victims were reported missing. However, the search team was faced with significant challenges challenges from the rapid river flow. And yesterday, on March 7th, it was reported that one person was rescued, while another 4 were missing after a boat capsized in the river near SK Lepong Baleh Kapit. 2 of the missings were a policeman, a Sergeant Jonathan Lambert, 51, and Constable Iskandar Zulkarnain Ibrahim, 28, while the other 2 were civilians, Emerson John Nain, 47, and Jack Balan, 44. Thank you for staying with us. The Armed Forces Fund Board, LTAT, and the Federal Land Development Authority, FELDA, has been directed to submit full reports on their performances in the 2022 Auditor General's report. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said a notice for explanation has been handed to the 2 agencies to provide a full report.
Memang nak bagi notis supaya ada penjelasan keterangan penuh dari JT walaupun kita ini daripada audit 2022 dan kita nak tentukan ada laporan lengkap supaya kita kelemahan diperbaiki kalau ada apa-apa yang terlibat yang tidak kurang baik pasal.
Previously, the AG's report on the 2022 Federal Agency Financial Statement presented in the Dewan Rakyat on Wednesday showed that FELDA suffered an after-tax loss of 1.005 billion ringgit. The report also revealed that LTAT reserves have recorded negative balances for 3 consecutive years since 2020, namely 0.376 billion ringgit, 0.285 billion ringgit in 2021, and 0.338 billion ringgit in 2022. On whether there is a committee on the 2022 AG's report, Anwar said relevant ministries and agencies need to give further explanations on their performance in the report.
And then give a chance to the ministry and the relevant agencies to come up with their own explanation. Okay, all right. Important is that we need to stop the rot.
Okay, thank you, Datuk Seri.
Now, the nation's unemployment rate remained unchanged as of January 2024 at 3.3%. Though the percentage does not reflect changes, data by the Department of Statistics Malaysia (DOSM) noted a slight decrease in the number of unemployed persons to 567,300 from 567,800 in December 2023. Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin in a statement said the country's labour market sustained an upward trend in January, mirroring ongoing improvement of the national economic situation and consistent with global economic expansion.
Further improvement, Uzair said, can be seen in the labour force, where the employment rate rose by 0.1% to 17.05 million people compared to the previous month. This positive trend was mainly driven by continuous increase in the number of employed persons as the number of unemployed persons declined. Explaining further on employment, 75.2% of employed persons in January 2024 were in the employees category, while self-employed category increased in trend by 0.3%, equivalent to 3.01 million from 3 million in December. The service sector comprises wholesale, retail, food and beverage, transportation as well as manufacturing, construction, mining and quarrying sectors have enjoyed increased employment. Regarding the unemployment situation, he said 79.8% of the total unemployed persons were those who were available for work and were actively seeking jobs, or the actively unemployed, which posted a decrease of 0.2% to 552,500 persons from 453,600 in December. According to Muhammad Uze, the unemployment rate for youth aged 15 to 24 stood at 10.6% or 306,800 persons, while among youth aged 15 to 30, the rate was 6.7% with 439,700 unemployed youth.
In 2022, women accounted for 55.1% of Malaysia's workforce, yet their representation in the digital economy industry was only 35%. Therefore, Deputy Communications Minister Teo Ni Ching emphasised the importance of enhancing women's participation in the labour force, particularly within Malaysia's digital economy industry.
Saya percaya bahawa kalau kita boleh pecahkan ini gender stereotyping, jadi kita boleh nampak bahawa pelibatan yang lebih seimbang dalam semua bidang. Dan saya rasa banyak kajian telah tunjukkan bahawa apabila kita ada inclusivity, maksudnya pelibatan daripada semua gender pun termasuk, semua kaum pun termasuk, semua culture pun ada, ini akan membantu kami untuk buat satu keputusan yang lebih kondusif dan juga satu keputusan yang lebih baik.
He said this when speaking to reporters after the International Women's Day celebration organised by the Deputy Communications Minister's Office and My Creative Ventures earlier today. At the same time, Teo also presented data from the Digital Economy Centre, PEDI, indicating that 76% of entrepreneurs mentored by the centre from 2021 to February 2024 were female. Furthermore, statistics from the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation (MDEC) indicated that 57% of women entrepreneurs had engaged in the e-Usahawan program between 2015 and 2023, which showed that women in Malaysia are now actively contributing to the economy.
Officially recognized by the United Nations in 1977, International Women's Day is commemorated in different ways and to varying degrees in places around the world. Some celebrate the economic, social and political achievements of women, while others urge governments to guarantee equal pay, access to healthcare, justice for victims of gender-based violence and education for girls.
In Bangkok, Thailand, hundreds of women marched from Bangkok's Democracy Monument to Government House, the offices of Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin. Decked out in purple, many of the marchers demand improvements to the kingdom's law on maternity leave. In Pakistan, women take to Islamabad streets holding banners and chant slogans to mark International Women's Day. Many of the demonstrators were also marching in support of Palestinians. Also taking it to streets are South Koreans in Seoul. Participants of the rally are advocating for a society free from institutional discrimination, one where women can enjoy equal rights with men and live with dignity and pride, and to build a democratic society where everyone's political, economic, social and cultural rights are fully guaranteed. Meanwhile, in Jakarta, hundreds of women from various women's organizations commemorated International Women's Day by walking from in front of the Election Supervisory Agency office to the National Monument area. Wearing all black and purple clothes, the women participants held up large banners protesting against alleged violations of human rights and criticized the policies concerning women's labor rights, such as maternity leave and the Omnibus Law.
More than 200 students were kidnapped by gunmen during a raid on a school in northwest Nigeria, reportedly one of the country's largest mass abductions in 3 years. However, local government officials have not given an exact figure, as they were still working on how many children had been kidnapped. Kidnappings for ransom are becoming common in Africa's most populous country, where heavily armed criminal gangs have targeted schools and colleges in the past, especially in the northwest, though such attacks have abated recently. Meanwhile, according to the report, at least one person was shot dead during the attack. The abduction illustrates the complex security challenge facing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who, after coming to office in May, promised to make Nigeria safer and bring in more foreign investment. Thursday's kidnapping also comes almost 10 years after Boko Haram jihadists triggered international outcry by kidnapping more than 250 schoolgirls from Chibok in Nigeria's northeast. Some of those girls are still missing. In his strongest comment to date on the Israel-Gaza war, US President Joe Biden has warned Israel against using relief aid as a bargaining chip with Hamas and urged for an immediate temporary ceasefire in Gaza, where concerns about an imminent famine have escalated. In his State of the Union address, Biden also announced plans to set up a temporary pier off Gaza to help with the aid deliveries. Biden added, while led by the U.S. military, the operation will not put U.S. troops on the ground in Gaza.
I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis.
His address came at a time when hopes dwindled for a renewed ceasefire before the holy month of Ramadan, following the departure of Hamas negotiators from discussions with mediators in Egypt. Hamas's representatives expressed dissatisfaction with Israeli responses before leaving Cairo, although U.S. Ambassador to Israel Jack Lew dismissed speculation that negotiations had collapsed. Calling the impact on Gaza heartbreaking, Biden also reiterated his support for the creation of a Palestinian state.
To the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time.
The proposed agreement would pause the conflict for at least 6 weeks, facilitate the release of sick, wounded, elderly and female captives, and allow for an increase in humanitarian aid. Unfortunately, as of Wednesday, 20 individuals in Gaza had succumbed to malnutrition and dehydration, with at least half of them being children. The United Nations World Food Programme cautioned that without land routes, the quantity of aid that could be airdropped would not suffice to prevent famine. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines, anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvsarawak.my or follow us on our social media platforms. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.